Okay. Hi, girls. I hope everybody could hear me. I hope this is clear. I hope there's no more issues. Okay, I'm going to start from Pasuk Yirchet, which is around where we left off. We did Yirchet, Yiten, and Chav, but I'm going to start just from the beginning of this topic because it's really all one story. Okay, so let's just jump in. Vayikbot Yehu et kol ha'am. Okay, Yehu, once he gets to Shomron, he gathers the entire nation together. Vayomer alehem, and he says to them, Achav avadat ha'Baal me'at, Yehu ya'avdenu harbeh. If you think Achav worshipped the Baal, he only really worshipped the Baal a little bit. Watch me, Yehu, myself, he's talking about himself, I'm going to worship the Baal a lot. Okay, so, and here's what he does. Okay, so he's going to basically, just the end of the story here is he's going to get everybody together, all of those who worship Baal, and he's going to have them all in one place, and he's going to be able to destroy them that way. So how does he do that? Okay, v'yatah. He tells them once he gathers the whole nation, he says, v'yatah kol nevi'ei haBaal, kol ovdav v'chol kohanav. He calls on all the Nevi'im of the Baal, all the Kohanim of the Baal, all the Ovdim et haBaal, meaning anyone that has anything to do with Baal. Okay, kir'u ish al yipaked. Okay, gather every single person who has anything to do with Baal, and don't leave anybody out. Ki zevach gadol li la Baal. And because I am going to bring the korban of all korbanos. You have never seen anything like this. What I am going to do in terms of Baal worship, it's going to be this new and innovative thing. No one's ever done this before. So everybody really needs to be here. Kol asher yipaked lo yichya. Whoever doesn't come, they're not going to live. Meaning anyone who's a Baal worshiper must show up. It's mandatory. The Yehu asab be'akbad, and the Navi tells us, like, this is obviously nobody talking. This is like the narrator speaking. That he's doing this as a trick. Don't think for a minute that he really wanted to worship the Baal. Okay, he's doing this as a trick in order to be able to kill off all those who worship Baal. So what I was saying in class earlier in the lunchroom was that, right, obviously Yehu is speaking as if he is a Baal worshiper, right? And there's a concept that Chazal teach us. It's called Brit Kruta L'Sfatayim. Brit Kruta L'Sfatayim, that what a person says can have an effect, right? So, again, like I said, that some people see this concept of Brit Kruta L'Sfatayim as the basis for the custom of children whose parents are still alive to leave the shul if and when their parents are saying Yizkor. Okay, because we're afraid that they may inadvertently say, if a child stays in shul, he may inadvertently say these tefillot, right? And then they might end up in a situation where Chas v'Shalom they actually have to say them if your words could ultimately make things come true. So, but, again, like we said in class, not necessarily that he's doing something wrong here. This is how he decided to get them together. Vayomer Yehu kadshu atzara leba'al vayikaru. And he basically makes this grand announcement: gather everybody together. We are going to make a massive festival for the Baal. An atzara, like an atzeret, is a festival, an atzeret where everything else stops. Right, everything else stops, and we're going to celebrate. And he is ready to, like, basically have a massive holiday in tribute to Baal. Okay, so here's what he does. Vayishlach Yehu b'chol Yisrael. Okay, so let's go on to Pasuk Chafal. Vayishlach Yehu b'chol Yisrael. Vayavo'u kol avdei Baal v'lo nishar ish asher lo ba. Every single person in Shomron who worshipped Baal, every single one of them showed up. Vayavo'u beit haBaal, vayimalei beit haBaal peh peh. So there was this main area, right? It's like, lahavdil, but the equivalent of a shul, right? There was this one main place where everybody went to worship Baal. It was the, center of Baal worship, and that's where everybody gathered. Okay, and it says here, Vayimalei beit haBaal peh lapeh. The room was full. Mitzudat David explains the room was full from one opening, like a mouth, which is the open part of the body, from one opening to the other opening. It was packed, right? It was a room that was packed with every single Baal worshiper that existed in Shomron. Okay, Pasuk Chaf Bet. Vayomer la'asher al ha'meltacha hotzei levush l'chol avdei haBaal. So there was a person who was in charge of all the clothing. He was called the meltacha. Basically, when a person worshipped Baal, this was the custom of Baal back in the day, they wore special clothing. There was a special garment that you wore to worship Baal. So he says to the person who was in charge of the wardrobe, who was in charge of the clothing, every single person that's here, they need to have a distinctive garment. They need to be wearing something specific. And he gave every single person that was there something to wear. So just to help you understand why, I just want to show this to you. So in Pasuk Chaf Bet, if you look at the Mitzudat David here, okay, hold on, sorry. Okay, that should be a better view. if you look at Pasuk Chaf Bet here in the Mitzudat David, here you go. Hotzei levush hakavana. Right? Why is he asking the guy who's in charge of the clothing to get them all their garments? Because he wants to be able to identify who he needs to kill. Right? L'shalo, so hakavana, so the intention, hayashiyuni karim, like lahakir, they should be recognized in their dress, l'shalo yimalei mimehem, so that nobody can escape. As long as they're wearing the special garment that they wore during the time of Baal worship, that is what basically he wanted them to look like. Okay, next. I'm going to leave on the Mefarshim here because we're going to look at a few in some other places. Okay, so next, Pasuk Chaf Gimel. Okay, so here's the pasuk here. Vayavo Yehu v'Yehonadav ben Rechav beit Haba'al. So Yehu comes together with Yehonadav ben Rechav. Vayomer le'ovdei Haba'al. Chapsu re'u pen yesh po imachem me'evdei Hashem ki im avdei Haba'al levadam. So this is probably Yehonadav ben Rechav's initiative, right? But basically they ask everyone, look around. Right, all the people who worship Baal are together. Look around. Is there anyone here that you recognize that's not a real Baal worshiper, that really, really worships Hashem? So why would anybody have been there? So if you take a look again at the Mitzudat David, Me'ovdei Hashem, Ki chashash pen yavo mimehem lirot ma na'aseh. If you were a regular Jew who worshipped Hashem living in Shomron, and you heard that all of the Baal worshippers are getting together, and this new king in town, Yehu, is declaring that he's going to throw the holiday and parties of all parties, and a festival of all festivals, and he's going to bring the korban of all korbans, maybe you're curious, right? You want to see what's going to happen. So maybe somebody out of their curiosity would show up. So obviously they're trying to make sure that they don't kill anybody that shouldn't be killed. So they look around. He tells everyone to look around and make sure that really that everyone is there is really a Baal worshiper, right? Because it would be a tragedy if they ended up killing someone who really was a servant of God, who really was worshiping Hashem, who was just there for curiosity sake. Okay, next, Pasuk Chaf Dalet. Vayava'u la'asot zvachim va'olot, v'yehu sam lo b'chut shmonim ish. So basically, the people, the Nevi'im, the Kohanim, whoever it was that the festival was beginning, I guess Yehu was going to be like the grand finale of a korban. So the way that it was working was that the priests, the Kohanim, whoever normally brought korbanos, people started to bring their korbanos. So the regular people, not Yehu yet, right? Those who worship Baal, vayava'u la'asot zvachim va'olot, they started this ceremony of bringing korbano. V'yehu, and the narrator tells us here, V'yehu samlo b'chut shmonim ish, and he had 80 soldiers planted on the outside of this Beit HaBaal. Vayomer, Ha'ish asher yimaleit min ha'anashim asher ani mevi'ah yadechem nafsho tachat nafsho. He basically says to them, if you allow anybody to escape, it's going to be your life in exchange for his. If you look at Rashi here, nafsho tachat nafsho, nefesh hashomer tachat nefesh hanimlat. If you, officers, any of these 80 officers, out of mercy, decide to allow anybody to escape, just know you're going to pay with your own life. It's going to be your life in exchange for the person who you just allowed to escape. Nefesh tachat nefesh, a person for a person, a life for a life. Okay, next. Pasuk Chaf Hei. Vayihi kechalato la'asot ha'olah. Okay, when these people finish their when the last person, I guess, finished their korbanot, vayomer Yehu laratzim v'lashalishim. So he seemingly had like a sign set up, like he had on my cue, that's when you're supposed to kill. So vayomer Yehu laratzim v'lashalishim, he had people who were set up ready to tell the 80 soldiers outside that it was time to start killing off these people. Okay, bo hakum ish al yetzei vayakum lefi charev. He basically tells them, come, it's time to start killing everyone. Vayashlichu haratzim v'hashalishim vayachu ad ir Beit HaBaal. So says the Malbim here. The Malbim's explanation for this pasuk is actually in the previous one, but I'm just going to tell it to you on the outside. What this basically means, vayashlichu haratzim v'hashalishim, the soldiers that were surrounding the temple killed all the people that were in it, and then they threw their bodies outside. And they ran on to Ir Beit HaBaal. I guess there was another place where they possibly could have been, but basically they killed off all the people that were there. So if you think about it, actually, it's very interesting. When you take a step back and you want to try and understand how many people from Bnei Yisrael are we talking about here? How many people really were there? So we could probably learn from this that there weren't that many. It was only a small percentage of the people in Malchut Yisrael who worshipped Baal. Why? How can we say that? Because 80 soldiers were enough. If 80 soldiers were enough to kill all the people in the temple, all of those who were Baal priests, right, then seemingly you're not talking about, it couldn't have been 50,000 people. 80 people can't kill 50,000. right? So it doesn't. We're not talking about a huge amount, but again, this was part of what Yehu had to do was get rid of any last remnant of Baal worship. Okay, next pasuk chavav vayotziu et matzevot haBaal vayisrafuha. They had these monuments. There was like this. There was a base. Sorry, not the base. So there were these monuments that were inside the Beit HaBaal that they used to, maybe they put the Baal on top of, or that the Baal, maybe the Baal, actually the physical monument that was the Baal itself, right? Basically anything that either the Baal stood on or that represented the Baal, any physical monument that was inside the Beit HaBaal, they took it out and they destroyed it. They burned it. Okay, next. Pasuk Chav Zayin, Vayitzu et matzevat HaBaal, Vayitzu et Beit HaBaal, Vayisimuhu lemotzaot had hayom. So basically they took down the actual monument of the Baal itself, and they tore it down. Right, the Baal used to stand on this monument. There was a base. The Mitzudat David says, the Mitzudat David says here, that the actual thing that they worshipped stood on this monument, and that's on this base. A basis is a base, and that's what they destroyed. They destroyed the base, and then Vayitzu et Beit HaBaal, they burnt down the entire building. They destroyed the entire building where everybody was inside of. Okay, Vayisimuhu lemotzaot ad hayom. They turned it into a bathroom. Okay, lemotzaot or lemachraot. Okay, Rashi says lashon Beit HaKisei. So a bathroom, right? They basically, and ad hayom hazeh, according to the pasuk. So this, they turned this place that was Baal worship, they turned it into a bathroom. I think the meaning behind that is hopefully obvious. Obviously it's you don't put a bathroom in a place of respect. They dafka wanted to put the bathroom there. Okay. Next, chaf. Pasuk Kafchet Vayashmed Yehu et HaBaal Yisrael. So officially, finally, Yehu successfully got rid of all the Baal worship that existed in Malchut Israel. So this was a big deal, right? He finally was able to do what nobody else before him had been able to do. Okay, I'm going to finish up the last few psukim in the next video, just because I don't think I'm going to have enough time to finish that. Hopefully this was clear for everybody.